Welcome back to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast. I'm Jason Bellin from Hard Money Bankers, Ian Horowitz from Equity Warehouse. Back in studio, Dan Breslin from REI Diamonds and Diamond Equity Investments. We want to invite Dan back onto the show after a great interview we had a few weeks ago. If you didn't check that episode out, feel free to check that out. It was some pretty awesome stuff we were talking about how he grew his company from just himself to about 35, 40 employees. From wholesaling real estate to fix and flip stuff to eventually years later, growing a portfolio of commercial assets. So Dan, welcome back to the show. Do you have a deal that changed your life? It could be a recent deal, one, maybe it was the first deal you ever did. Could be a good deal, could be a bad deal, but a deal that had changed your life.
Yeah. I mean, it's ironic. We closed like a $700,000 flip recently. In profit on a multi-million-dollar single family house. And that's not the one that changed my life. It closed and it was like, okay, another one in the books. Not that I'm not grateful to have a little bit of luck and high execution from my team to get that one done. But the first one, looking forward in January 2006, when I went to my first Get Rich in Real Estate seminar by Russ Whitney out in King of Prussia, I think. And I remember the guy, putting on the overhead projector. If you guys remember the overhead projector, he put his check on there and he's like, we got this lot under contract for $10,000 and I found someone to buy it for 20. And here's my check. He put the 10,000. So, oh my gosh, that's what I want to do. And I remember telling people about that deal over the next 6 months. Yeah, you could get a property and sell it for 30, get it for 30 and sell it for like 36 grand and the 6 grand will be yours. And people are, no, that can't happen. You never do that. And that was what my first deal was in July of 2006. It was in Chester, Pennsylvania, in the Sun Village section where it was a high crime area at the time. And it was very difficult to find anyone to buy a property over there. I saw a buddy of mine bought one around the corner for $11,500, and that was my underwriting. I was like, "Now you know what he bought it for? He bought it for $6,500, I think, 55, whatever it was." So he bought that for $6,000 on Remington Street, and that was my underwriting. I'm, all right, I'll offer $5,500, and I'll make $500 on this thing selling it to him. So I offer $5,500. They take the deal. I call him. I'm like, hey, you want to buy this one for 6 grand? He said, no, I'm not buying it for 6 grand. It's called Remington Street because of the Remington shell casings around the body mark. When I go down there for rent collection on my front steps, you're never going to sell that deal. In fact, I'll give you mine for $5,500. Like, oh man, I'm all dejected now. My mistake there was not signing him up at $5,500 immediately because I ended up putting mine on Craigslist for $11,500. Finding a buyer, bragging to the other guy later, he probably hunted down my buyer and sold his to that guy for $11,500 too. So I left money on the table, but the $6,000 walking out of settlement was life-changing for me. I was, unemployed, trying to build my real estate business, doing painting jobs and, closet door installations for my family at the time. So $6,000, it was a lot of money. And then I was able to luckily keep that. It was a newspaper ad that I had running. We buy houses, and it produced, a nice steady stream of leads. So right from that point, it was deal after deal after deal. Things really started to connect after that 6 months worth of work. So that first deal is really the one where everything opened up because it became possible.
Yeah, we talk about a lot on the show. Once you have that one deal that's successful, that usually carries people over the hump, right? And there's a lot of times that people do deals and they just get their butts whooped and they don't learn, the fact that your boy was like, yo, I'm out, and you still stayed in and said, you know what, I'm going to find a way to sell this, and then list it for double the price and actually get it. Dude, that's sick, right? Because if you would have just listened to that dude, he would have said, oh, you're an idiot. You'd say, screw this. And where would you, we might not be talking today. We don't know, right? So you might have found a different industry to get into because your boy burst your bubble so hard. So do the perseverance to get through that is just it's a true testament to who you are and what other people should be doing, because too many people give up way too quick. So, but
yeah, I think that the interesting moment, I remember putting the Craigslist ad in, and I had it for 10,500. Man, $5,000. Could you imagine 5,000 on this deal? And something was like, hey, make it 11.5. And I like in that moment typed 11.5s. Like in that moment, that one decision was an extra $1,000. And one of the things that we coach in our organization is like, you need to recognize the moments that you're making decisions. A lot of people make them on autopilot and don't understand the gravity of a quick, simple decision. In that moment, it was one moment and it was $1,000 difference. And the fruit of that decision didn't bear out for 2.5 more weeks of silence from the Craigslist ad to when the buyer came. The buyer just said, I'll take it. So it's like, great. The guy just took it, but he would have taken 10.5. I would have taken 7, 6,500, 8. Luckily, the guy was cool. He gave me my money, probably saw me for the young guy that probably didn't have a lot of resources and wanted to throw me a bone. But if there's another lesson there, it's to recognize the moments throughout every negotiation, throughout every communication, everywhere in your life, and recognize when you're deciding to say things, deciding what you're willing to say, deciding not to say things, deciding to be quiet, deciding to make the follow-up call, deciding not to until the next day for one reason or another. The quality of your decisions is going to equal the quality of your results.
Yeah, that's really good advice. You dropped bombs this week. You dropped bombs a few weeks ago. I'm going to download that book that you mentioned a few weeks ago, Out of Intimidation, and check that out. And there's a lot of good advice being dropped here. So with that being said, Dan, where's the best place people can find you? They want to learn more about what you're doing in your business and follow you around on the internet.
Yeah, go sign up for my weekly newsletter at reidiamonds.com. That's the Jewels of Wisdom newsletter that I write about commercial and residential real estate, deals for sale, things of that nature. If we're doing a capital raise, you would hear about it from that newsletter as well. Again, that's reidiamonds.com.
Nice. Guys, if you get any value out of this, Dan's just a regular dude like us. He's very humble, and we appreciate that. So if you got any value out of this, we don't care about the likes or the subscribes. We care about sharing this episode, and it's the best compliment we can give Dan. So let's get out there and share it, and we'll catch everybody on the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast. Do us a favor and like, comment, and share our broadcast. It helps the algorithm and helps us spread the word too. Till next time, thank you for tuning in.